From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And what can I say? Mamba out.
Welcome into this special edition of Sports Zone. Tonight, I'm Mitch Brown alongside Mike Yuva. Obviously, it's Monday. This is usually the Huddle, but it just didn't feel right, especially considering the news that happened and we saw last night. Kobe Bryant dead at 41 in a tragic helicopter crash, and I think I can speak for all of us around the nation that it just stunned us when you got that news and that it was confirmed as well.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna, along with 7 others, crashing in that helicopter accident yesterday in California. And it was one of those moments that when you first found out, I think it's going to be one of those moments years from now, everyone's going to remember where they were. I remember getting a text message from one of our coworkers here. You've seen the headlines, you instantly go to Twitter or you turn on the channel for the news and you're trying to figure out, is this really true? Is it real? Because it just seems like a nightmare. You just felt like you were just in this dream, and when you did find out it was real, it was just a numb feeling that you had.
And, there was a cloud over the day yesterday from that point on. Obviously, there was today, too, as well. 24 hours, still very, very fresh, still trying to piece this all together. But as we said, 9 lives lost in this tragedy. But you talk about Kobe Bryant and what he meant to basketball. Let's talk about what he meant to more than just basketball. Obviously, Mike, he has a global impact. Anywhere he goes, he's known. And he's one of those few people in that club that's known by just his first name.
Well, obviously, you and I, we weren't around to be able to remember the Dale Earnhardt crash, but you try to think in terms of sports figures, sports icons that left us way too soon. You think about Dale Earnhardt, as I mentioned. You think about Herman Munster, one of the greatest, one of the greats in Yankees history. You think of Roberto Clemente. You think of some of these athletes, and I'm not trying to discredit anything from those 3 athletes in particular, especially Dale Earnhardt, whose name just continues to just ring throughout sports. But for Kobe, it just seemed like it was something different because it didn't matter where you were. You could go into a grocery store. I remember walking into a sub shop just instantly after, did you hear about the news? Did you hear about the news? It was just one of those things. So Kobe, his image, his icon, he touched so many people. He grew up, he had a time period when he was over in Italy. We know what he was able to do in the NBA. We know the differences he was making with women's basketball. He was just a figure that it just seemed like he was just everywhere, planting seeds. He was everywhere.
And everywhere is where they are making sure that they memorialize him, and especially back at home at his high school in Lower Merion in Pennsylvania. It means a lot to him. He won a state championship there back in the day, and he came straight out of high school from Lower Merion to the NBA as a youngster at 18 years old. There was a memorial there for him today outside of the gym named in his honor. And his school, his members, the faculty, they are heartbroken as well.
ACES Nation has lost its heartbeat. The entire Lower Merion School District community sends its deepest condolences to the entire Bryant family. Our basketball teams will no doubt pay tribute to Mr. Bryant as our season continues.
Just 17 years old, Mike. He gets drafted to the Charlotte Hornets. They trade the rights to him to the Los Angeles Lakers, and the rest is history from that point on.
The rest is history is right, Mitch. I mean, the 13th overall pick, and you think how much that draft just changed basketball. Okay, just absolutely insane when you think about it, and what could have been for the Hornets, but of course he goes to LA and he was able to link up with Shaquille O'Neal, giving us one of the best 1-2 punches we've seen since. Obviously you had Michael Jordan, you had a lot of big guys back in the day. You were able to see the centers. The game has obviously changed so much, but to be able to see Kobe and Shaq link up, I think that's what a lot of people that grew up in our era that saw the tail end of Michael Jordan, if you're between the ages of 30 and 20, you were able to see this man be able to take off, and he was the bridge. He was the bridge between Michael Jordan and what we see now in LeBron.
And you talk about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, he released a statement yesterday on the passing of Mr. Bryant, and he said he's in shock over the tragic news over Kobe and Gianna's passing, Gianna being Kobe's daughter, being in the helicopter as well. But words can't describe the pain he is feeling, and he's loved Kobe. He's like a little brother and like family, and he and his wife joined the Lakers, or joined people in sending condolences to Vanessa, the Lakers organization, and basketball fans around the world. And just recently we got a statement from LeBron here on Instagram, and this just seemed like, Mike, that he was just writing this off the top of the head. And, you know, as he said there in the first couple of sentences, he tried to write this for some time, but every time he starts to try and write it, he starts to cry. And it just seems like it's really hit him. And, you know, there's that polarization between LeBron and Kobe fans, but really when you see LeBron get congratulated by Kobe first and foremost on Twitter when he passes him on Saturday night for 3rd overall on the all-time scoring list, it just kind of puts it into perspective that this is bigger than basketball. This is bigger than competition. Those two were family.
Those two are family, no doubt about it. And I know some people might wonder, okay, and I'm not trying to play victim in terms of the media and trying to defend us, but just hear me out here, okay? Some people will be like, okay, why do you need to go up to an athlete like LeBron? Why do you need to go up to certain athletes and ask them how they're feeling right now? Let them grieve. I understand that. I understand that. But also understand that when you're a guy like LeBron James, when you're guys that, you know, Kawhi Leonard, when you play in the NBA, when you've played in any professional sport, you're seen as bigger than life. If that wasn't the case, you know, this would unfortunately have just been just another helicopter accident. That's just the reality of it. But because Kobe was on it, it changes things. You know, there's probably a car accident today that someone passed away and died today, unfortunately. But he didn't have the name like Kobe. That's why it's not as global. So being able to hear from guys like Michael Jordan, being able to hear from guys like LeBron James, it brings the world together because these people are not seen as people. And I think, unfortunately, when we see what happened yesterday, it reminds people that, you know, Kobe was a person. Kobe was a father. Kobe was a husband. He wasn't just a basketball player. He wasn't untouchable. And I think that's the scary part because you look at a guy like Kobe and be like, Kobe can't die at 41. Kobe's going to live forever. Well, that's not the case. That's unfortunate. So I think being able to hear from guys like LeBron and a heartfelt message today, I think it speaks volumes of what they're going through. And, of course, not just him, but being a leader of that team and showing what the rest of the Lakers are going through.
And you talk about invincibility, and a lot of people have mentioned those moments that Kobe was able to build an iconic brand off of 81 points, second most in NBA history, and a local connection in that game. On the Toronto Raptors bench, Alex English, an assistant coach, of course, one of the Gamecock greats here as well in this area, and he's one of the NBA greats as well, a Pro Basketball Hall of Famer. He sat down with me yesterday and recalled that moment on the bench. The game plan just went out the window. They could not stop the Black Mamba that night.
As a coach, you know, we're trying to figure out how do we stop this guy. He's embarrassing us. He's making us look really bad. And this is after he'd had almost over 40 points in the first half. You know, that was it was just amazing to be sitting there and watching. He scored 40 points in the first half. We got to figure out how to stop him in the second half. And we go back into the locker room and we talk about it. And we had, you know, we tried a lot of different things, but he was just in a zone that night. He was, he played the best game I ever saw an individual play on the offensive end. He was unstoppable. And we had some pretty decent defenders on him, but he was just not to be stopped that night.
And you could just tell how hard it hit him yesterday when we sat down and talked. And another person that it hit hard, Dawn Staley, a Philly native herself, Philly legend there with basketball. They've had a connection and a relationship over the years. And after the game, they found out before the game they had to compartmentalize that and get ready for the game to beat Georgia yesterday. And here's what she had to say after the game about what she talked about with her team and what it meant to her.
You know, since he retired, I mean, he dedicated his life to his little girls and her career in basketball. And it's unfortunate that, you know, we don't get a chance to see him coach anymore, to see him impact girls' lives. Because, you know, I mean, when he just talked about, you know, WNBA players being able to play in the NBA. You know, we need more people like Kobe Bryant sticking up for women's basketball.
You know, one person who was just dying to meet him, Frank Martin, and he talked about it today at length. His first statements out the gate in his weekly press conference today, Mike.
Yeah, not a surprise that Frank led this off with his press conference today, Mitch. And I think being able to hear from Frank, he speaks for a lot of people out there, the people that did not have the opportunity to meet Kobe. And you would think, okay, Frank was going to meet him at some point potentially, but he never did. And I think being able to hear from Frank, it speaks volumes of what a lot of us are feeling today.
Kobe's one of the great teammates. Great teammates aren't the nice guys. Great teammates are the ones that uplift everyone and take on the responsibility of the good and the bad days, and then keep everything private and challenge people to do more. And we need more teammates like Kobe Bryant in today's society.
We are just getting started remembering the life of Kobe Bryant and the legacy of him. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some of his top moments on the court and take a look at some of the other athletes he has touched and inspired.
We know what it means as a team, but what about individually for you?
Just got one more than Shaq. So you can take that to the bank.
That's the charisma of Kobe right there. You can see he's somewhat joking, but he means that just a bit. He's a competitor at heart, and you know what? Getting one more than Shaq, that was one thing that he wanted to do for a long, long time. He made it known, and you know, Mike, he's touched so many people in the NBA through his competition, and it's that mentality that really brought a brand and went global. And you know, so many people outpoured their support and love for Kobe in messages, and this is a guy right here that you've seen grow up and is trying to create his own legacy as well. Yeah,
Ja Morant. I mean, and these are guys too that saw Kobe at the tail end of his career. They never really saw Kobe, which what you and I saw him as. You know, people, like I said, that are probably in that 35-30 window and remember what Kobe to be. Of course, he went through so many injuries towards the end of his career, but it's that competitiveness that so many people remember him for, and that continues on.
Exactly, and you know, A'ja Wilson, who has forged her own legacy here in the Midlands and also in the WNBA now. As you said, Kobe always supporting the WNBA, and this means a lot to A'ja Wilson here, and you know, Gigi, as she was able to meet her, and it was one of her inspirations on the court as well at such a young age. So that means a lot. And Mamba Gianna Bryant, they put a jersey out for her tonight over at the UConn game, and that right there is a picture that says more than 1,000 words. So just a lot of outpouring of support, and it's good to see that on the timeline right now, especially more so than the news that we've seen as well. But you know, you talk about what Kobe has done off the court, inspired so many people. What he did on the court also created some of the most historical moments that we have seen. We've got some Mamba moments for you, so let's roll the tape. Here's number 5 that we have for you, and this is a baptism right here on Dwight Howard, a young Dwight Howard at that. And I don't know how Dwight Howard didn't retire after this, but he's somehow still in the league, Mike.
Yeah, and still a young Kobe, too. I mean, people forget. I mean, Kobe wore that number 8 for 10 seasons before wearing 24 for another 10. So this was the first half of his career. This is when he was high-flying, and those knees treated him pretty good.
He had some juice. And, you know, later in his career, he started to suffer some injuries. And this moment right here was one that kind of stuck with me because it was painful to watch. Number 4, Kobe, right there, he's walking with a torn Achilles. It's already popped, but he goes out to shoot the free throws. They're down to the Warriors by a bucket. He goes out there, hits both free throws, walks back to the bench under his own power. That's the toughness that people talk about with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, he was the type of guy that when he was going to go out there, he was going to play, it didn't matter. You were going to have to literally pick him off the court, take him out by his legs, do whatever, put him in a body cast because he was not going to come off unless you forced him to.
Tough as nails, and that's probably why he has 5 rings to his name, and the final one came in 2010. And Mike, I know this one hurt a little bit, but you know what, in hindsight, this is one of his greatest feats right here. Just getting that final one without Shaquille O'Neal, forging his legacy. He had already been known as great, but here, that one right there solidified it for him.
It did. And I'm going to be honest, right? As a Boston guy, you grow up to have sports hate for the Lakers.
Right.
Sports hate. You think about the rivalry between Magic and Bird and just those great rivalries, and it carried that back over when these two teams played in a couple NBA Finals in a span of a couple of years. But here's the thing. As much as I had sports hate for the Lakers, for whatever reason, I just could not hate Kobe. So being able to see him win, it might have been rough. You know, high school Mike wasn't too happy about this, but at the same time, too, you couldn't be mad for a guy like Kobe.
Little emotional, and I understand you. I've been there, done that as well. Kobe's hit all of our teams up. But you know what? Speaking of emotion, that last game, watching that a couple of years back, watching him will the Lakers to a win. That team won 17 games that season at the second overall pick in the upcoming draft. 60 points for Kobe Bryant in this final game, and that was his spot right there for 20 years.
Yeah, 15 points in the final 3.5 minutes. He went 5 of 6 during that span. He was just absolutely incredible, and it seemed like it was just meant to be. It was a storybook ending, and, you know, who would have thought a couple years later that we would be here on a night like tonight looking back at it. ESPN just replayed this game, and it just seems surreal. It's like you couldn't have wrote this in terms of just how everything is played out, but definitely a moment that everyone will remember for a long time.
Absolutely. The legacy lives on forever, just like this game does 14 years later. Kobe scores 81 points against the Raptors. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the show, but 81 points, and I mean, he just willed this team to a win. You see in the fourth quarter, it's a close game there. He just went off. That's why they call him the Black Mamba. That still, to this day, stands as the second most points all time in the game for one player. When we come back, this show continues on. We continue to remember the legacy of Kobe Bryant. Coming up, though, we're going to talk about his top moments off the court or on the court, but didn't involve shooting, dunking, or passing the ball. That's coming up as this special edition of Sports Zone continues.
You take a look, Chris Rock sitting right next to Kobe Bryant, shooting the breeze.
Nigga out there hitting his free throws, you know how he do it. You know, Jalen going to the basket like it ain't nothing to it but to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mike, man, you got a nice suit on today, too, man.
Appreciate that, Swag.
You got
Men's Warehouse.
Now, would that happen if you were there? Would there be a celebration?
And there he is, Kobe Bryant, the comedian. That's exactly the charisma that was able to garner the attention and just really attract people in to the mystique of Kobe Bryant right there.
He was all business. And there's a moment I remember during one of the NBA Finals. They were up 2-0 in the series, and a reporter asked, you know, you guys just went up 2-0 in the series. Series is shifting now to another location now for games 3 and 4. You don't look happy. He's like, what's there to be happy about? He's like, you guys are up 2-0. He's like, still work to be done. Like, but that's the thing. Like, that's how he was, though. It was always, hey, we got to get things done. All business, you know, there'll be time to smile and be able to joke later, but he was all business, man.
He always wanted more.
Always wanted more, and that's what the greats, you know, I think about some of the top competitors we've seen in recent years. I mean, I think about Kobe. I think about Jordan. I think about just the killer instinct, the guys that always just want to do extra. I think about Tom Brady, and I think about Tiger Woods. And that's no disrespect to anyone else on those lists, but I just feel like those 4 athletes in particular separated themselves because they just had that killer instinct that we're never going to settle for enough.
Absolutely, and like you said, all those guys, they can be named by just the first name, and you would know exactly who they are. Another guy that can go by the first name collaborated with him in the commercial, and this is one of his top moments off the court. It's pretty funny. Kobe has some funny chops. He linked up with Kanye West for this commercial right here.
But I'm the best.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
You're welcome.
Mamba. And that was one of those first Mamba commercials, and it was a funny one as well. Kanye West, that was way back in the day right there. Always wanted more. But, you know, another one of those funny moments right here featuring a real comedian, Chris Rock. Game 2 of the finals, I believe it is. This is the finals, I know that much, but he's trying to talk to Kobe Bryant, and that's what you get right there. Tuned out. Come on. That guy is maniacal. He's not listening to you right then and there, Chris.
I don't know. David Spade's not laughing, so maybe Chris Rock just didn't have some of his best material at the time.
Well, you know what? It worked out for Kobe, too. Locked in and loaded. And you know what? You want to talk about locked in and maniacal? Look exactly at this moment right here. Everybody remembers this
one. Great.
This dude didn't flinch an inch. Let's get a closer look at this bad boy right here.
And
then, he just succumbs to it.
Hey, Mitch, you know what's funny? I was listening to a podcast today, and Kobe was talking about this, right? This is obviously from the past, from a couple months ago, and Kobe was asked, did Matt Barnes try to throw that at you in your direction? It was just a bad camera angle. He's like, no. As soon as Matt came to L.A., he's like, how didn't you move out of the way? He's like, I was trying to get you. And he's like, nothing scares me. So, that's just Kobe, man.
He ain't no punk. And, he never backs down. He'll take a hit, too. You remember this moment. It was before the Twitter eras and all that good stuff on social media, and Chris Childs throws a two-piece at him. Kobe eats it. I'll give him that. He eats that punch right there, and you know what?
He's from Philly, man.
He's from
He's
Philly,
got that toughness. Go ask Don Staley.
That's that grit right there.
They got that grittiness in them.
I'll give it to him, man. He ate that, didn't move back, and moved forward, too, at that. And that's a moment right there that, of course, he was on the receiving end of it, but a lot of people don't look at it from the angle that, again, it takes a lot to take a punch to the neck.
No question about that.
And now, the final moment. You're soft. Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, a 7-footer, and Dwight Howard gets annoyed that Kobe's playing defense on him, and Kobe says, man, you're soft. We can do what we need to do if you want to after the game, but this is just defense, and he gets mad.
And also on that same podcast I'm listening to, Kobe's 6'6". He said, I don't care if you're 6'6", if you're 7'6", 7'2". If you do something to me, I'm not afraid to back down. I'm never going to be afraid to back down. He's like, it's just not in my DNA.
Gotta love it. Tough as nails. When we come back, we wrap this show up with some final thoughts. We've got one final thought from each of us here, and my final thought on Kobe Bryant is this, that when he transitioned from the game, it was beautiful. A lot of guys have a hard time trying to transition out of the game, especially a guy like him that was maniacal about his work ethic, making sure he was better than everybody else. He transitioned and made it into all about his daughters, all about his family, and he made the most of that family time. A family man, hard worker, and a champion.
And my final thought is just being able to look at the situation that happened yesterday and what can you take away from it. Don't be afraid to say I love you. I love you, Mitch. I love Bradley back there, Rachel, everyone that makes this thing happen. Don't be afraid to say I love you to people because you just don't know when that last time you're going to be able to have that opportunity to say it.
Much love back to you, brother. Much love to you all at home. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.